So my final story is about the crew on the International Space Station. And this actually, the discussion just happened about 10 days ago. The mission itself, Expedition 49 and 50, these three crew members, Shane Kimbrough was the NASA astronaut on board. They launched in October of last year. They returned to Earth in early April of this year. And this is just the mission patch for the Russian Soyuz that they launched on. And so here's the three astronauts, cosmonauts. So the NASA astronaut and two Russians. And this is just a few days before their launch. You see that they are in their pressure suits that they wear on launch, they wear on landing, and then once they're in orbit, they don't use them. So this is a view of the inside of the Soyuz. There's one person sitting there, the second would be right here, the third would be right there. Imagine the front seat of a Mini Cooper, or a fairly small car, and they're wedged in there with whatever cargo will carry. And so here's their Soyuz attached to the International Space Station, and then in April they returned to Earth. And so this is the crew cabin, or the crew capsule, the entry capsule, coming down under its main parachute. So this parachute is deployed at about 50,000 feet altitude. It takes about 15 minutes to drift to the ground. This is the spacecraft landing, and there's Shane Kimbrough out of the spacecraft and very happy. But what was released, I think it was October 15th, there was a meeting of the Russian and American sides discussing safety on the space station. And it turns out this was the first it had been publicly released that when the parachute deployed, it was packed differently than it should have been. And there was a large buckle on it, and when it deployed, the buckle actually banged against a welded seam on the spacecraft, and it ruptured it. They lost the air inside the capsule. And had it not been for the fact that they were wearing their pressure suits, which is why they wear their pressure suits, it'd be like having a window blow out at 50,000 feet on a military aircraft. They would have been in a fairly substantial amount of trouble. So I think it shows that these procedures, these safety procedures, are very essential, even though this has never happened in 50 years of flying the Soyuz. But all it takes is once, and of course the fact that they did have their pressure suits on, that kept them healthy. So, but it is interesting that apparently the astronauts, or the crew, knew that this had happened because they have gauges showing what the pressure is, but the people running the programs never actually talked about this until about 2 weeks ago. So I'll leave it at that.